Hello everybody, I'm Connor Reynolds, and today we're going to be going over the benefits of training here at Fast RBI. Fast RBI is located within Fast Performance, a new umbrella. I'm taking over the hitting side where they already have a pitching side, they have a strength and conditioning side, they have a massage therapist, sports psychologist, and lots of many other people within the space that are able to help get your athlete to the most optimal version of themselves. Today we're going to be focusing on more of the training side that we do here with myself with the hitting. First off, we're going to be looking at what we have to offer. We have to offer multiple different packages, but our two main ones are going to be 1 time a week or 2 times a week. Every single time someone new signs up for one of our packages, they're going to have to go through an assessment. An assessment is going to look like where an athlete comes in, demonstrates what they do for their natural warm-up, and goes through and shows me what they value within their own session. So that way I can get a gauge of where are we starting out with this athlete. If the athlete has a really good idea of what they need to do in their warm-up to prepare their body for about to do a session or an assessment, then that's not something that I need to touch on too much. If the athlete doesn't really have anything to do in their warm-up, is kind of lost a little bit, not sure, just kind of putting the ball on the tee and swinging, that's going to be something that we're going to need to address. And so for me as the instructor, I'm going to go through in the assessment. We're not really going to talk too much during it in the sense of changing mechanics or anything like that. Again, I want to see what their baseline is. I want to see what that athlete does when they come in before I do anything with them. So that way I can truly get a gauge of how we need to work on stuff, how often we need to work on stuff, and the focus of when we're needing to work on stuff. This is an assessment piece that we put together. Every single time an athlete comes through, a new athlete, we're going to go over this assessment. This is going to go over and it's going to highlight kind of where that athlete is at amongst the averages of everyone else, what level of play they're going to kind of be at if they were to jump into it right now. We go all the way from pro MLB guys to the youth level. Then we also have the average height and weight of every single position player from D1 to draft picks. So that way we can really get a gauge and see what outside of the swing does this athlete need to work on. If weight is something that we need to gain or lose, that's really good for us to know. If we're not able to work within generally the parameters of some of these schools that a lot of these kids have dreams and hopes of going to, then we have to be really good in a lot of other places. If weight is something that we can kind of focus on early and right away, we want to be able to know that so that way we can put that in our roadmap. Looking at these 6 different metrics, these are the most important ones that I value right away. That's going to give me the best kind of idea of what this player is able to do and capable of. At first, we're going to look at bat speed. So bat speed is going to be the first one that we look at. Bat speed is going to essentially just tell us how fast the bat is moving, where attack angle is going to tell us the angle of which the bat is entering in the zone. Rotational acceleration is going to be gauging how fast that player is able to get to that bat speed. Essentially, it is the acceleration piece of the swing. The quicker we can get to our bat speed, the better. We're also going to be looking at exit velocity. We're going to be looking at total distance that the ball has traveled, and then launch angle. These are going to kind of give us a really good idea of what this player's swing is just on a base level. This is going to be the stuff that a lot of colleges are looking at, a lot of pro scouts are looking at. And so this gives us a really good idea because it's a baseline number of items that we need to work on. If the athlete is really high in a lot of categories, higher than their skill level, then we have a lot that we can kind of go with. Now, if the athlete is very below a lot of their skill level, so if this athlete is a junior in high school, we're going to need to be looking at either the varsity numbers if they haven't played varsity before. That's our next level that we're trying to reach, or college. If they already have been playing varsity, we're going to start looking at the college stuff. So if we're behind in those numbers, that's something that we like to know early rather than later. A lot of the time I'll ask my athletes, if you were failing in class, would you rather your teacher tell you at the end of the year that you're failing or in the middle of the year? Every single kid has said in the middle of the year. I ask why, and they say they want to know that they can get better. They want to know how they can get better. That's essentially what this is right here. We're not necessarily saying that you have a bad hitter or you have, God's gift to this earth of a hitter. It's just that this is where we're at, and this is going to help us create the roadmap of how we need to reach the next level that we are aiming for. How we acquire those numbers through the assessment is one, your athlete's going to receive a HitTrax account. HitTrax is something like a golf simulator, so it's going to show exit velocity, distance, launch angle, everything like that, and we're going to be going over all those metrics. But it's also going to be able for us to hit on all 30 MLB fields, a lot of college fields, some international. It's going to be able to also record every single swing and pair it with those metrics, so that way we can always go back and rewatch. This is also going to take into effect point of contact. It's going to look at what their batting average is in the zone and the different parts of the zones, as we can see right over right here. We're also going to see where our spray chart is. Lots of different things. So when we're looking at this, let's pull this guy up. We're able to go back and we're able to rewatch a swing. And we can go in slow motion, we can go in fast, regular pace. But this is going to allow us to go back and rewatch swings while also giving us all of the data. Now, if we go down to session analysis, this is going to give us kind of a breakdown of what our averages are, our max, distance average, distance max. It's going to look at the pitch speed that we were hitting, how many pitches, how many at-bats, our average, and that average is going to be able to change depending on what skill level and what size field we put the hitter on. It's going to look at launch angle, hard hit average. That is going to go through and find what the player's top max exit velocity is, and then base off of the top 15% of their swings, we're going to look to try and stay within that top 15%. So that's going to be how often they hit the ball hard for themselves, where average is just seeing how many hits they get. We'll look at the line drive, ground ball, and fly ball percentages, along with point of contact, where we're able to see on average, where do we hit the ball the hardest? When do we start to kind of lose that a little bit? When we're hitting fly balls, ground balls, all that great stuff. Another thing all players are going to be able to receive is a blast motion account. Blast motion is a sensor that goes onto the knob of the bat, and that's how we track bat speed, on-plane efficiency, attack angle, rotational acceleration. So when we're going through, we're able to look at every single player's numbers at the end in each individual one. All players will have access to their accounts, whether it's HitTrax or Blast Motion, and anybody else that they want to have access to their accounts can have access. There are apps that are on the phone, so that way you can follow along, and we're able to kind of go through and see what their numbers are. These are their averages. This is their average bat speed in this time frame, average rotational acceleration in this time frame, on-plane efficiency, and attack angle. We can go through and we can look at each individual metric. Players that are interested in having their own blast motion, so that way when they go home or they're practicing with their team, high school, whatever it is, that way each one of those swings that they take can also fall into this category. It'll be saved to their account, so that way I can also look at it. When we're going through, it will also give them training, so that way when they're going through, it will highlight and say, hey, we believe that this drill or this drill could help you out a lot. So here we would go to drills, and on the app, it'll automatically show what drills it suggests for that player to go through, and it'll walk them through how to do that drill. So that way when they're on their own, they're able to then also find drills that they're able to do. Now with the HitTrax and the Blast Motion account and us being able to watch from 3 different camera angles, everything is recorded and then also put onto YouTube. So that way the player can go back, rewatch any of their swings with having all of the data synced together with that swing. That way players can go through, screen record, and they can send that off to colleges. They can send this to their high school coach, to anybody that's interested in seeing what we're doing in our sessions. So here's a little video of what it kind of looks like when you're going through and you're training here. We have our 3 different camera angles, and then we have a slow motion replay on a 55-inch TV. That way athletes are able to go back and they can rewatch their swing. Players will also receive a Driveline TRAQ profile. This is how us as instructors are going to program their sessions. This is going to go through and will allow for the athlete to sign in on their phone. When they show up, they're going to essentially go through the warm-up protocol. So every single time when the athlete shows up, it will say day plan. So they'll click on that, and as we can see, I just have programmed today for the 19th what we're doing. And so as the athlete comes over, they can click on it. And right here is where they'll go through the entire warm-up. And they're able to click on any of these drills if they have any questions, and we'll go through and show them a YouTube video on how to complete that drill. That way athletes, if they have any questions, there's never a time where they are lost. We also have something called the wellness check. So every single day before the athlete starts their session, they'll go through and they'll answer these questions. Just little questions like, how much sleep did you get last night? What have you ate today? How much water have you drank? When was the last time you worked out? How's your body feeling? What bat are you using today? What's your mood? How much do you weigh? So that way we can track how they're going through. If we have a really good day, we want to go back and we want to look at why. What allowed for us to have a really good day? If we have a bad day, we want to go through and find out why we had a bad day. When we're going through, athletes are going to be able to track all their data as well through this. Athletes are going to be able to go back and look at their trends, so that way we can gauge progression, and that way athletes are on the same page as the instructor, and then anyone else that would like access to this information, they have access to it. Parents, coaches, college coaches, anything like that. Along with everything else, athletes are also going to receive a Gamesense account. Gamesense is a program that's going to go through and is working on pitch recognition. We're going to be working a lot with Gamesense moving forward, where we're going to be having guys go through. I can assign drills to them. So whether it's left-handed pitcher, right-handed pitcher, pitchers that focus more on off-speed, whatever level it is from youth all the way to college and professional, we're able to mimic. They're real pitchers, and so what will happen is, depending on the difficulty that the athlete chooses or myself chooses for the athlete to go through, it will go and a pitcher will go through their motion. And depending on, like I said, the difficulty, the screen will go blank. Now, really easy difficulty, they're going to see the ball travel for a very long time, and then it will go black, the screen. They'll have to choose whether it's a ball or strike for a fastball, curveball, changeup, slider, whatever that pitcher has in their arsenal. And if they get it correct, they earn points. And then the harder the difficulty, the sooner that the screen will go blank right after the pitcher throws. So just working on that pitch recognition, making it quicker. There is a timer on it, so that way they can't just sit there forever. They have to make sure that they're making quick decisions, but then also correct decisions. Along with having a YouTube playlist, along with having a Blast Motion account, along with having a HitTrax account, a Driveline, TRAQ account, a Gamesense account, they're also going to get a field level account, depending on skill. If the athlete is not at a point where they need to be showing off their skills, we will not create a field level for them. But this is for college recruiting. This is going to be free with every account that players, when you come in and you sign up, you're going to get one of these. And so that way we're able to market you. We're able to take the YouTube videos that we are creating. The athlete will go through and can put up as much information as they want on field level. Is going to allow for college coaches to go through, look at 1 minute, 2 minute, 3 minute clips. If they're interested, they'll click on the player's profile, and that's when the college recruiting will start. Here's a look at our cage. So we have 20-foot wide, 20-foot tall, 70-foot long cages. Very, very nice to be able to see the ball flight for a very long time. Something that is not as common in a lot of facilities, especially here in Colorado, to have so much space to be able to hit. For the hitter, during their session, they can look back and see all of their metrics. This is the view of the hitter when looking back on the cage. This TV on the right here, is going to be displaying their blast motion. Again, it's going to be looking at the top 4 numbers that we talked about earlier. It's going to be bat speed, rotational acceleration, attack angle, and on-plane efficiency. Whereas the TV on the left is going to be displaying the HitTrax. So that way, everything is synced. Athletes are able to get immediate feedback on their swings. And again, with the HitTrax, they're going to be able to get a slow motion replay after every single swing. That way they can look at it. If it's a good swing, why was it a good swing? How can we recreate that swing? If it was something bad, why was it bad? What made it bad? And so athletes are able to get that immediate feedback, and they're able to work on their swing during the session rather than waiting to the end, going back and re-looking at the YouTube video and saying, oh, I didn't notice I was doing that, or I didn't see me doing this. They're able to see that right away in live time. Over here off to the side is where we have, it's going to be their TRAQ profiles are going to be displayed on this TV right here. So that way they're able to see what they're doing for the day right inside the cage. So that way they don't have to keep pulling up their phones. Big important thing that we do here is making sure that the athletes take control of their career. We don't necessarily want them to just be robots and following blindly to what me as an instructor is telling them to do or what we have planned for that session. I want them to start being able to kind of take ownership of that. And so when we're doing the Driveline TRAQ, they will know ahead of time, programmed, what they're doing for that day. When they're going through and they're filling out the wellness questionnaire, they're going to see then after what is planned for me on the rest of the day. That way they're able to go through and they're able to plan their warm-up according to plan, so that way they have and are able to maintain the focus of what that day is, and it starts right during their warm-up. Players are also going to be able to look at their PRs, which is going to be right there. All of our players' PRs are listed up on that whiteboard, so that way they're able to see right away, what do I need to work on? What is my PR? If they're really close to a number, then they know that that's something that they can focus on and really put a lot of effort into on the next couple of swings, because it's feeling like it's a good day. Here are pretty much almost all of our training bets that we have here at Fast RBI. Going to be going through almost each individual one and letting you guys know what they do and the purpose of each one. Here we have our Driveline Axe bat speed program. We have 33s and 34s in both sets. And so when we're looking at that, I'll have it linked below with the Driveline case study of bat speed and how it increases. Generally, for every 1 mile an hour bat speed where we are able to gain, we're going to look at also gaining 1.5 miles an hour of exit velocity. And so with the bat speed training program, it's very, very important for us to be able to make sure that athletes are getting their bat speed to the max of what they're able to do. Generally, 10% is lost going from training to the game. And so if we're able to raise that 100%, then the 10% loss that we have when we go out to the game and that pitch pressure increases, it won't be as drastic as if our max bat speed is lower. So the more bat speed that we're able to train here in the facility and train for them to carry over into the game, the more consistent they're going to be. The miss hits that they have are going to end up being more of a hit rather than a flare, and athletes are going to have a lot more success when they're able to take into more of a high power or accelerating swing. Over here we have our Berg training bat series. If we zoom in on this guy, here we're going to notice that we have a couple of things that we call funky bats. So this first bat that we're going to be looking at is called the paddle bat. This first one highlighted. So if we actually notice, half of the bat is missing on the barrel. When we're looking at this is really good on working direction. When athletes are struggling either pulling off or slicing too much, this is a great bat to kind of allow for them to see and feel what it means to square the ball up into the zone. Right below that, we have what we call the split grip. Split grip is really good in making sure that if athletes are a little bit handsy, they want to shoot the hands out too much, it's going to really focus on making sure that they turn their body in unison with their hands rather than shooting the hands first and then looking to turn the body. These bats right here are my signature series. They call the Rbi Bat, or also known as the nunchuck bat. And this is really working on building bat speed and acceleration early in the swing, making it to where it's a timing piece. If the player starts their swing and then tries to stop because of the missing piece in the middle, they're going to lose their barrel immediately. So for any athletes that really struggle with timing, this is going to be great bats to use for them. They can also be bought over at bergbat.com. And then finally, this bottom guy, we also have another paddle. We offer these paddles in 3 different sizes here at the facility, so that way we're able to work on slightly different things, changing the point of contact and making it to where the athlete is having to adapt to their environment rather than just only be able to use one type of bat in one type of an environment. Right here we have our Axe single hand bats. This is really good when players are looking to work on using a shorter bat. Like I said, this is going to change the sweet spot of the bat, which is going to make the player have to adapt to that environment, so that way they're still able to move properly, see the correct results, and that way they're able to make sure that they're not just consistently taking the same exact swing. We need to make sure that the player is able to change their movement pattern a little bit depending on the environment. And so using a smaller bat is going to allow for that. Over here on the left, we have what we call the insider bats. This is famously used by Albert Pujols and endorsed. These bats are what we use with wiffle balls or smash factors. This is really, again, helping on working the athletes staying on the inside half and working on all fields, so that way they don't just get to a pull-happy state of the swing. We also have a tennis ball chucker. That's great for finding direction and when the swing needs to accelerate and when the swing is accelerating. Really good external cue to kind of allow for athletes to just feel it out and understand what their swing is doing. Over here on top of the bench, we have what we call the rubber rack by Baseball Rebellion. Again, this is a great tool to help and allow athletes to see what it means to actually rotate and turn with the body rather than just trying to use the hands to swing. This is something that we'll use with wiffle balls and smash factors. Down over in this area, we're going to be looking at more of the bats that I've actually made. A lot of these bats are inspired by the Driveline Aqua Bat series for bat speed, and so we're going to go through and highlight those. Right over here, I have what would be the end-weighted. This is called the Club. Again, this is a homemade bat, so for anybody at home that is interested in trying to have something but not really necessarily looking to spend as much as the Driveline Aqua Bat series is. This is actually a broken bat that I found. I took a t-shirt, wrapped in athletic tape, very end heavy, very barrel loaded, and so that way this is going to force for the athlete to really try and accelerate their body rather than just using their hands. Then we have this bat right here. This is the handle loaded version. I just took a lot of lead tape and put it at the end of the handle. And then right over here is where we have just the heavy bat. So this is going to be a 33, 35 ounce bat. Using these three in combinations, these are all three broken bats I made on my own. So this is something that you guys would be able to do at home. Those three bats are essentially the same thing as the Driveline bats, just not as pretty, not as nice, not as polished, but definitely usable. And so that's something that we also have here at the facility. This bat right here, this is the thin bat. This is an old bat where it's made out of metal. The newer versions are made out of plastic, so we're actually able to hit real baseballs with this, whether it's front toss, off of the tee, or even out of the machine. This thin bat is only about a 1/4 inch in diameter, and so this is really going to be focusing and making sure that athletes are working on their attack angle, slicing the ball in half, that way they don't get too underneath or too over the top. This final bat right here, this is called the clicker bat. This is something that I've invented. This is going to be a part of their warm-up. This is looking at and making sure that players are accelerating. This little clicker here at the end actually slides and will show and represent the acceleration of the bat. And when we gain the most amount of acceleration, players are going to be able to hear it. They're going to be able to feel it. So that way they truly get an understanding of when does their swing start accelerating versus when does their swing need to accelerate. I'm almost done. Let's see here. Over here, we're looking at just the organization piece. Oh, wait. I want to go to the... Here we're looking at some of the training tools that we have here at the facility outside of the bats. First thing that we're going to look at, these are called Aqua Bags. When using this, it's really good for the athlete to feel the opposite movement. And so when the athlete goes to swing with the water being in the bags, as the athlete swings, the water is going to be a little bit delayed, and it's actually going to force the athlete to use little tiny muscles that they're not used to try and stabilize their body. So that way the extra weight within the bag doesn't make them fall. Making sure that we are able to stay balanced and stay in a good athletic position throughout the swing is very important. And so using these Aqua Bags is going to put the athlete in a position where they have to be athletic. Along with items that make the athletes be athletic, we have these balancing balls. And so these are little half guys that have a little arc at the bottom, so that way it forces the athlete to find balance. Over here we have a former pitching tool that we've changed, so that way the athletes are able to truly feel and understand what it means when their weight is shifting and at what point within their swing their weight is shifting. They'll be able to hear the metal click on top of this metal piece right here. Next piece that is highlighted is called the 3D strap. This is a part of our warm-up. Very, very new to the program here at Fast RBI, but something that I am starting to really, really love. Athletes being able to feel what it's like to have resistance throughout the swing, but then also having the strap help and assist the turn. We have a couple different drills that we work with it, and it's really good for younger athletes or athletes that aren't as comfortable with their swing or being in the swing. It's going to make sure that they're able to maintain that balance, just like the Aqua Bags, but not necessarily in a resisting motion all of the time. It's going to also have the piece where it helps them feel the acceleration of the swing as well. Right here are called hitting jackets, and we have 9 ounce, 12 ounce, 16 ounce, and then also 21 ounces. These bat weights are able to be put onto any of the bats. Will stay on the bat. It just adds a little bit of weight in the middle of the bat, so the balance of the bat won't necessarily change, but the weight of the bat will. And going through and pairing that with blast motion, we're able to do drills where we're looking at increasing bat speed or maintaining bat speed, increasing rotation or maintaining rotation, acceleration. Really good tools that we use a lot here in the facility. Right here are slide boards. This is the exact same things that you'll find moving companies have to put underneath couches and furniture to easily allow them to slide across floors. We also use this to build inside strength of the legs, so that way while athletes are put into positions that they may not be as used to, they can work on those little tiny muscles to, again, help and create stabilization throughout the swing. Finally, right here, we have what we call connection balls. These things are amazing for any athletes that are just starting to start swinging drop threes, or maybe it's a little bit heavier of a bat, or somebody that just is what we call a barrel dumper. For anybody that likes to get their hands extended out early away from their body before they get through the turn of the body, the connection ball is going to fall out. And so this is a great external cue for athletes that may not understand or know what the feeling of turning without using their hands is. This is a great external visualization for them to see when does that ball come out. Is if it's coming out towards the middle of the cage, then we're getting a full turn before we release the hands. If the ball's dropping behind them next to the catcher, then our hands are releasing really early. Last but not least, one of the last things I would like to highlight that we have here at the facility are our pitching machines. Outside of doing lots of live ABs, using the TrackMan and the HitTrax with the 3 different cameras and being able to live stream those live ABs, we also use these pitching machines that are able to replicate anything all the way up to 105 miles an hour. This top one, called the Spinball machine right here, that's the one that will get up to 105 miles an hour. Sits a lot higher. It's going to replicate the ball coming out of the pitcher's hand really well, and so this is going to give a little bit more of a challenging aspect for hitters, so that way they're able to go through and it doesn't feel as indifferent when they go from the cage to a real game. And then right below that, we have the junior hack. So with this system that we have, we're able to actually use this little piece right here. That piece that is off to the side of the junior hack is a automatic pitching machine that we're able to load up. Athletes are able to control that with the phone that we have here, so that way they can turn on the feeder and they can turn off the feeder. They can also turn on and off the pitching machine. Thank you for your time today. Again, I'm Connor Reynolds here at Fast Performance with Fast RBI here in Denver, Colorado. Cannot wait to see your hitter come through.